Okay, so I've showed you how to go about dividing your measurements so that you will be sure on how to transfer it on your actual pattern. Let me show you one more thing before we go on to how to draft a blouse pattern, or I'll show you the different parts of a blouse pattern. Back to our measurement. By the time you're through with all of your divisions, you discover here we have 34 divided by 4 equals 8.5 or 8.5. What you also want to add to this measurement is at least 1 inch. That is the least you can add. And this 1 extra inch you add in here is actually the allowance, the sewing allowance or the seam allowance. And by the time you add this, you have a total of 9.5. You come to your underburst. 28 divided by 4 will give you 7. So you add 1 inch at least to it to give you 8. And here we have 7.5. You add 1 inch to it to give you 8.5 or 8.5. Your sleeve round divided by 2, which is 10 inches divided by 2, will give you 5, plus 1 inch allowance, which is 6. And then your neck width or your neck round, which is 6 divided by 2, will give you 3. At this part here, you don't add any sewing allowances to it at all, so you let it be that way. So what we're going to be working with right now is 9.5 for burst, 8 for underburst, 8.5 for waist, 6 for sleeve, and 3 for the neck width. And then our length measurement, we've already added the allowances to it, so there's nothing more to do here. So now let's go to how to draft a blouse pattern, or let me indicate to you where is what part of your blouse. So I'm going to start from this point here. I have a rectangle sketched out in front of me here, as you can see, and this rectangle here is, assuming it's a pattern of fabric in front of you, stretched out before you. You mark this part A, and let's mark this line B. Let's come all the way here and mark this point here, C. Let's mark this point, D. Let's come down and mark this point, E. Let's mark here, F, G, H, and I. I hope you're following. From this point to this point is where you indicate your neck depth. That is how deep your neck is going to be. And I showed you how to take your neck depth measurements when I was teaching you in the how to measure your client video. So let's assume that the neck depth that you recorded, let's assume your neck depth is 6 inches. I told you when you're dealing with your length, you can only add to it because of your seam allowances, but you don't do any divisions there. So let's assume your neck depth was 6 that you measured. You're going to add half an inch to it because you're going to take out an amount. You're going to take out half inch when sewing off your shoulder line, and it's going to cause your neck depth to reduce. So what do? You add up half inch to it. You add up half inch to your actual 6 inches that's for your neck depth. So you come here, it's on this line from here to this point. You measure your what? Your 6.5 inches. So let's say 6.5 with your tape is from here to here. You mark it. After marking, the next thing you want to do is measure your neck round. And I told you, according to the measurements we just converted, our neck width is supposed to be 3 inches. So you pick that, you take your tape, you place on point A to point C, and then you measure 3 inches, and then you mark. When you mark, the next thing you want to put in here is your shoulder measurement. And our shoulder measurement, as we took, was 14 divided by 2, which is 7. To that measurement, you also add half an inch, and that half an inch you're adding is for sewing allowance.